motion on this?
Yes, you can. That council receives the fire chief's December 2023 report for information.
All right, thank you for that. And with that, I'll turn it over to the chief to highlight or add anything to your report that you'd like.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. After that long discussions, I'll just keep it short, I guess. All the items that I've submitted in my report, I'll just kind of look at a couple of them. One was the monitoring of fireworks, and I indicated to you that I would be posting on Facebook about the bylaw regarding fireworks. I did fly the drone New Year's Eve, and the only fireworks that were visible, I guess you want to call it something, was the display that gentleman or family member displayed in the field south of the railway tracks, which is off of town property. So he was doing it safely out of the residential area, and by all means, looks like people enjoyed the show. There was a fireworks display the day before that lasted, I don't know, my wife heard it. I didn't hear it. She doesn't sleep well. I sleep really well. So said it was a short duration. I saw some posts seeing it by the looks of things. It looked like it was in the Eastview open grounds. So if I take it as a win that people are firing in, instead of residential backyards, they're firing in open fields. Something like fireworks displays are difficult to track down because they fire them for 30 seconds and they're gone. So they are difficult to identify. That also being said, I don't actually have the authority to write tickets or whatever. It is Alan Bloom that has to do that. So I just wanted to get a picture of what is truly actually happening in town. And I guess, if anything, I'll take that as a win that it was very minimal as far as fireworks displays were in town. The other one is fire inspection activities. I am, again, working my way through building structures in town. There was one that I actually got called at 5 o'clock in the morning to a smoke call, went in there, and all of the stairwell doors were propped open with things from cardboard to door wedges, which is against fire code. Had a conversation with the property owner the following day or a couple of days later, and I actually visited there on Monday, and things have been changed. So it's part of an educational piece. It's part of a cooperative explaining why, the reasons of, and getting buy-in rather than going down the enforcement role. So very cooperative, and it's nice to have those discussions and kind of in a positive note. Outside of that, I'll submit my report for council. If you've got questions, let me know.
Thank you for that. And questions, comments, Councillor Stenhouse?
So I know we're not supposed to respond to public delegations because it's been overwhelming tonight. But something was brought up tonight by a public delegation about fuel being stored inside a business. And that is a concern that I have. So when you're doing your inspections, are you looking for this?
Absolutely. So in addressing that, he actually contacted me, and I am aware of the codes, but not specific. So any building is allowed to have a certain amount of fuel on the premises, properly stored. Can be in a certified container like the red fuel containers, or engines and compartments and stuff like that, up to a maximum depending on the square footage area. So there is allowed fuel in buildings. You need to have that, but again, it's limited as to how much can be stored, which means like you can't go storing 5,000 liters inside of a building. Minimum is 30 liters. So if you think of 30 liters, that's actually quite a bit of fuel. Yeah. But that can be stored inside of a structure. Propane cylinders cannot. So the answer to your question, fuels can be stored inside of structures.
vehicle collision at approximately 19211.
If you have any other questions.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you.
Thanks, yeah. All right, we had his report for information. All in favor? Carried. Moving on then to our minutes, 5.1. Get motion on this. Councillor Dunn.
The council approved the minutes from the December 12th, 2023 regular meeting of council as presented.
All right, any corrections needed in these minutes? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. 6.1, business arising from the minutes, which was motion 32-20, or 352-23.
Page 11.
It's, yeah, page 11 of your minutes. And that was tabled to be gone over again. And I guess we can maybe just start with, we weren't sure if it was required to be a formal motion or if it could be done without a motion of council. And I'll just ask just to clarify what you found out on that.
The real issue was whether it was allowable under, what were the requirements under the Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah.
So that's been confirmed that the motion as it stands is acceptable.
Oh, okay. But going back for future reference, do we need to do a motion of council?
That it would be an issue council can decide. So there is no legal requirement.
There is no legal, okay, I thought that there was, but man, that was my.
There is a requirement to do, well, under the MGA, there's a requirement to do an annual performance appraisal.
Yeah.
How that's communicated back is not defined.
Okay. Okay, so when we're dealing with this one, I guess the question is we can make a motion or we don't need to make a motion is what I'm hearing. It's not needed. So I'll throw it over to council. Would you like to make the motion or we can just proceed on it? Councillor Wakel?
I think in this instance, we already have the motion on the floor, so we might as well deal with it, and then going forward, we can deal with it however.
Okay.
Right? I mean, we have the motion is to approve the one-step increase in the wage band based on the CAO's satisfactory performance
Yeah.
appraisal. It's there. I think we should just deal with it and move on.
Okay. I could live with it either way, but is there any other thoughts on this? No? All right, Councillor Danaka?
Well, I think going forward, I think it's good to have the motion on the books when we make that type of decision, just to have, so it's recorded. If somebody comes back and says why, well, the motion is there and it's recorded for future reference.
Okay, so we agree it should be there, and Councillor Tanaka, you made the motion before. Would you like to make the motion again?
The motion is still there. It's
Oh, okay.
tabled, so we just deal with it now.
All right, so we have,
A recorded vote was requested.
Yeah, and the recorded vote would be part of it as well.
all right, everybody's good with it? Knows what we're, oh,
Sorry, on the 13th or whatever Saturday that we're meeting, wasn't this part of the agenda? Or are we done with it?
no, we're
Why
done
did we
with it.
table it then?
Well, we tabled it because we weren't sure if we needed to make it and if it was allowable under FOIP. So we found out that FOIP is okay, and we weren't sure if we needed it. We found out we don't really need it, but as a council, we can keep putting it in if we want or not. So. All right, anything else on it before we vote? Seeing none. So the motion is to approve the one-step increase. All in favor? Opposed? It is carried.
You guys said
They caught, you caught the two? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on then to new business amendment to the fees bylaw. And 8.1, can I get a motion on this one? Oh, I don't see an RFD in here. Huh? Oh, it's handed, oh, there it is, sorry, thank you. I know what it's about, but I didn't see the motion here. Okay,
I'll move
So-
that council give first reading to bylaw 012024, amendment to fees bylaw, this 9th day of January 2024.
okay, and,
This
Well,
is what we talked
this-
about last time.
this is what we talked about last time. The change here is that at the time, we did not know that there was supposed to be a 90-day notice. We did not know about the bylaw, or sorry, it's not a bylaw, it's a policy that we would give that. Since after we approved this, we found out about the bylaw, so we're giving the 90-day notice about it. So it's the same bylaw, but just notice being given for 90 days. So instead of starting on the 1st of January, it's starting on the 1st of April. Yep.
No joke.
Huh?
No joke.
So that was the email, I mean,
Yeah.
that's the correspondence.
Yep. Okay, any other questions on this? All right, all in favor? Opposed?
Okay,
You're opposed, okay.
I got a question now.
Well,
Now
we
I
got,
have a question.
no, well, we had a motion, we voted on the motion, so we can't move on until we get another motion. So would somebody like to give it second reading? Counselor Dunn?
And the council gives second reading to bylaw 012024, amendment to fees bylaw this 9th day of January 2024.
It looks like you're fading away to nothing there, John. I can hardly see you
I
anymore.
gotta change the seat.
Yeah. All right, okay, so, Counselor Stenhouse, you had a question?
Yes, I'd like to know, what are we amending? This is a existing bylaw, right? It's an existing bylaw that if we're gonna raise rates, we give 90 days notice. What is the amendment mean? What are we amending here?
The back page.
Yeah,
Basically, yeah.
And did we also not add in the 90-day notice? I see it in the thing here. We added that in, correct? Based on that email that you sent
No,
out?
it's always been 90 days. I questioned that, did we not have to give 3 months
Yeah.
notice? So what are we amending?
we are amending the date that the new fees are going to come into effect.
Okay.
Yeah, so instead of the fees coming into effect on January 1st, they will be coming into effect after 90 days.
Now it's
So,
clear.
So just for clarification for council, there is no bylaw, it's a policy.
Okay,
The
Paul.
wording in the policies does not say must give 90 days notice. It said should give 90 days notice, which legally means we don't require to give 90 days notice. That's why the email was sent out saying, what is council's intent?
Yeah.
Because the policy is not clear. It says should, it doesn't say must. So what this report is saying is, we'll give the 90-day notice, which has already been done. Now, the issue is it has to be formally amended in the bylaw. I will be bringing back a further report to delete the policy and bring it into the bylaw, the utility bylaw. So it doesn't make sense to have a bylaw that has that's 34 pages long that deals with all kinds of policy issues and one policy sitting outside the bylaw. So it will be, another report will be forthcoming.
Okay, we had a motion for second reading. All in favor? Carried. And I'll make the motion that council give unanimous consent to proceed to the third and final reading to bylaw 01/2024, the amendment to the fees bylaw this 9th day of January 2024. Before we vote, is there any questions on proceeding with this? Seeing none, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Does anybody want to finalize it? Councillor Danaka?
I make a motion that council give third and final reading to bylaw 01/2024, amendment to fees bylaw this 9th day of January 2024.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then to our CAO's report and action list. Can I get a motion on this one?
Move to accept the CEO's report as presented.
For information.
For information and as presented.
All right, so no report in terms of work. Is there anything to add to this?
No.
No. Okay. So that's the short answer. Any questions, comments? Okay, go ahead, Councillor Wakel.
Just on the road closure policy, it's ongoing. How's that coming along?
We're drafting the policy as we speak. Again, the link piece, which I believe I informed council was before, the AUMA insurance program will offer third-party insurance for these type of events and other community groups, and that will be forthcoming to council.
Thanks.
Councillor Martins?
Welcome back, Bill. This is an older item. The sidewalk on 52nd there, is there CCC, is that completed, that project, or no?
No, this was previously reported to council. There are a number of deficiencies, and we're dealing with the contractor on those deficiencies.
Perfect, thank you. Is the sidewalk one of them? Because I don't know if the businesses have officially come in and complained to you, but there was a recent fall in the last, I don't know, week to 10 days because of the slope of that sidewalk. Is that one of the deficiencies?
That is not a deficiency. The slope on the sidewalk does meet code, but it's a substantial differential in grade compared to the previous sidewalk.
So it's going to stay as is?
It's under review.
All right, anyone else? I'm just wondering, and it's the first sort of that action list, is where's MMSA with this in their plans with Industry Canada and trying to stop them from coming into town with this telecommunication town?
They have a draft. The difficulty there in terms of finalizing the report is annually the CRTC, which regulates policy, changes the rules every year, so it's a bouncing exercise. At the end of the day, the town can establish a policy that CRCT may consider, but they have no legal obligation other than to consider the town's position.
But I think it's better if we have one in place than don't, right? Like that's,
Yeah,
yeah.
but they don't like it.
Yeah, they can maybe overrule it, but I'd like to see it in place just so we have something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anything else? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Moving on then to our correspondence, 14.1. Maybe we can deal with each one of these sort of separately, because they are quite a bit different. Go ahead.
That council received the RPAP correspondence for information.
Okay, perfect. Any discussion on that one? The one thing that I would add to that is maybe I would like to see if the Attraction and Retention Committee might do a recommendation for these awards and submit it as part of recognizing our health heroes. And you know, if they're getting recognized, they might feel better and stay in our community longer, right? So if we could, I think it's sort of helps with that retention, and we do have that committee that could possibly do that for us.
So I agree, and there's another one that I'll mention in my report, so I totally agree.
Oh, okay.
We're meeting either the 15th or the 22nd, so yes, that's a great idea. One's March, I don't know what this one is, but the second one that I was gonna mention is March, the deadline, so that makes good sense.
Yeah, I can't remember the date on this one, but
And that's how it came through also.
yeah, it came through RPAP there. But
See, for the following meeting, anyway, the other one's March.
Okay, I'd like to amend my motion and say to forward the RPAP correspondence to our retention committee.
It's by February 29th. Sorry.
okay, to their next meeting. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Any other comments on this one? Seeing none, all in favor? Carried. Oh, sorry.
For clarification, is the chair planning to bring that to the meeting, or are you asking for me to formally write a letter to the committee?
I'm happy to bring it because there's two, whichever you prefer. If you want to formally write, you can, or no, I'll bring it.
Yeah. All right, the next is the letter from the Minister of Environment and Protected Areas.
I'd like to make a motion on that.
All right, go ahead.
So through this correspondence, this,
What's the motion?
oh, the motion is that the motion is that the town of High Prairie Public Works start to record our water intake, outtake usage for future planning of a drought season.
Okay, and I think we would ask administration, not
Yes.
Public Works.
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't direct we don't direct Public Works, but, okay, we'll make that one amendment.
Yes.
So to direct administration to inform Public Works
No, just
No.
the direct administration to record.
our water intake, outtake, storage, because this is a serious issue.
Okay.
Now, can I
So-
have a conversation? Okay.
Yeah, we can get some discussion, but I'll let our CAO go first because I know he was there first, so.
I can assure council that all that information is currently collected. We will be bringing forward a report back to council on the actions required to address this communication. So if you wish to make further motions, that's.
Yeah. So basically, it's already being done. Out there is what we're hearing, that they have the information on how much we use and how much we bring in. But we do know that you know, from the province and from the Watershed Council and others, there's a lot of concerns about what's gonna happen next year. And I think, you know, what this letter is saying, I think as a municipality, we need to start working on coming up with some plans, like that water shortage plan that they're talking about. How are we gonna address that? Getting some communications if we have to do a water restriction, trying to come up with a plan B for another water intake source and start looking at that. Those are things that we can certainly start looking at for sure. If we've already, and I agree, we need to know what our intake and outtake is, but it sounds like we have that already also. Anyone else comments on this? Councillor Yashishin?
That was just gonna be my comment, is that with the water license, you would need to,
With the water license, you would need the reporting portion in there already. But I do see here that it's, so they're saying begin a review of the terms of your municipality's water license. So what comes with that license would be that withdrawal in those volumes and the requirements to report. But I'm just wondering, would they and can they amend the water licenses? Or is that something they would do to the amount of water that we can pull, say, from that river in particular, the West Prairie River? So I'm just reading that, wondering, so what are they meaning by that? That there is the possibility that they will say, okay, so-and-so with a license, so-and-so, so you can only withdraw so much volume now due to the drought conditions. And how would we address that as a municipality? I'm just wondering if that's what that's really asking in there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah, we'll give that to our CAO,
Bill would-
because, yeah.
I won't speculate on the motivation of the province, but that rationale that you're suggesting is a reasonable rationale. So yes, particularly with some licensees that have very modest draws based on their licensing requirement, this may be the province amending those draw limits substantially. So some municipalities may be drawing only 5 to 10% of what their licenses allow them to draw. If there's water rationalization happening, a legitimate strategy would be to share those draws between numerous municipalities. So they're not saying that, but there's an underlying office that's now been set out, their drought command team, and they'll be communicating with greater specificity as things are reported out. In addition, the province, prior to issuing this letter in late mid-December, also months ago, put out a request for proposal to hire external consultants to undertake a water rationing strategy and related measures on behalf of the province. So they basically jump-started this 6 months ago, and this is the letter now to municipalities. So there's two independent themes. Obviously, their consultants are going to come back with recommended strategies, and once they receive that report, there may be more definitive directions to each of the municipal units.
Thanks.
Go ahead, Councillor Stenhouse.
To the CAO, do you see us having a water issue or shortage in the very short future? I know the farmers are really watching the rainfall and the snowfall, but where is the town sitting with our water supply?
Well, currently, the reservoir is probably as topped up as it's been over the last 20 years. So that will get us through to the spring. And then it's all dependent on water into 24 and beyond. But we have seen a decrease in the flow in the East Prairie River over the last number of years.
And this is why I'm thinking that shouldn't we be alerting, well, not alerting, but informing the public more? I think we should put the word out. I know, like I said, farmers are watching it, but are the people in town actually paying attention to the precipitation from the rainfall and the snow that we're getting? That let's be more proactive than reactive, because it's not looking good all over.
Well, I think that's exactly what it's saying in here, is develop a water shortage plan so your municipality is prepared to respond if needed, as opposed to, you know, all of a sudden it's there and you don't have a plan. And I agree with you. I think, you know, as we get closer to the spring, and if it doesn't look like we're going to get as much, we need to start give people as much notice and get their headspace there, you know, as soon as we can, and say this is, and how would we communicate it, and what's the message that we would be sending out on behalf of the town. Because that's very important, that, you know, if you just all of a sudden one day go, oh, you guys are on a water restriction, it's not going to likely happen as well. But if you give people a warning and a notice and saying, look, this is what we're up against, this is, you know, we're not getting the flows in the river, we're worried about filling up the reservoir, we're asking, you know, we may in the future be asking people to restrict their water flow, they'll start being a little more cautious with it. And then if it is implemented, then, you know, then they're more prepared for it, right? They've had some notice, but I mean, we're not close to that at this point. And if we get a ton of rain in the spring and the rivers are flowing and we can fill up our reservoir, it's not going to be an issue. But we need to have that plan in place of how would we do it, when would we do it, and be ready to start implementing a plan. Because it's, you know, with these, you know, if the province and their experts are predicting a drought, then I think it's something that we need to be prepared for then also. I mean, I'm not an expert in it, but they're obviously worried. Yeah. Councillor Ishishin?
I was just going to make the comment, and, you know, and I guess that's what we addressed with Minister Schultz that day, was the fact that we are thinking ahead. We are looking, you know, we know where our water supply comes from. I mean, like Bill is saying, we're good at the time. It's, you know, today it's topped up, but I think we got across really well that we're looking in the future, and not the way future, the near future, that, okay, what can we do what are some of the options maybe out there that, okay, we're pulling from the West Prairie now, but what are some other options that we can look at? And, you know, and I think that was being very proactive, and I mean, one of the top topics for us is to, I mean, we're recognizing the fact, okay, you know, with the weather systems, how it's going with that. But yeah, we're looking into the future, and I think that's big, because if there are developments or grants, and we brought it to the minister's attention that we are looking at that right now. So I think that kind of brought it to the forefront. They responded back. We know, you know, the southern part of the province, we're really concerned about. Same with the north. They're well aware, and obviously they're putting it into motion here. So, yeah, I think that was a good proactive on our part there.
No, what I'm getting at is, so we're talking about it and talking to the minister about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like the residents of High Prairie who are on town water that figure it's an endless supply. It is not an endless supply, to be prepared, because we can't predict the future.
Absolutely.
Of the spring.
I think that goes without saying, is to prepare residents and prepare town for that. I'm sure the province will be getting it out there as well, but I think as municipalities, that's extremely important. And to be proactive with it, like you say, you know, not wait for that, all of a sudden, that crisis situation. It's just good, it's transparent, it's good communication, for sure. I agree.
Councillor Martins?
So why can't we, before saying things like prepare, which seems ominous, why can't we just do something very simple like, hey, be water-wise? And, if there's a huge precipitation in the spring, great, it goes no further. But starting today, why do we need to wait to the spring? Why can't we just say positive? We should be water-wise no matter what, whether there's a drought or not. It's sensible, right? Why can't we say in the next newsletter in a little square box, hey, be water-wise, just to be aware. I mean, the exact wording can be put forth by your communication team, but something, feel good, happy, but the awareness plug, the seeds in there.
Just for council information, that is already being done in the newsletters. So,
It says conserve water.
And I think, I think there's two things that we need, and when we talk about the strategic planning on Saturday, I think, we need to look at the longer-term water supply, and it might be moving up as a priority quite quickly. And we did have the group from the water co-ops came and presented to us about, they're looking for the town as an option of feeding some of the Big Lakes County. And we said to them, yes, you know what, we have a water treatment plant that could accommodate that, but we have a water input issue, right? And they were going to take that back and come up with a plan. And so hopefully, they'll come up with a bit of an option for us. Because for me, I think, the option is trying to get water from the lake is where we would be able to bring it in, and we need to start looking at that and how we can get it to town. And that's a longer term strategy with a lot of money and costs involved, but we need water in our town. That's a very important thing. So we need to start looking at that and looking for ways to make that happen and working with the county on that.
But how many people
How many are already pulling from that lake? You have to know that too.
Oh, yeah.
We all can't be pulling from that same lake.
Well, yeah, we'd have to make sure that the province would allow us to pull from the lake, or maybe supplement from the lake and also supplement from the river. Those are things that we need to start having that's the plan B that I'm talking about, right? Like, we need to start having a plan, and where would this water line run, and then we can start getting costs associated with it. Once we have costs, we could start looking for grants and lobbying the government to get it done, but it all takes some time to engineer, price out, and get it going. But I think with the climate change that we are seeing, it's probably a wise strategy to get started on it now, because it's probably going to be here in the next 3 or 4 years where we're going to have more issues. All right, so we have a motion that directing administration to track the water levels. We know that it's being done, but also I'll throw that open. Do you still want to keep that motion there to track water levels?
Well, I'd like us to follow the recommendations, their 4 recommendations.
Okay.
And I would like maybe a quarterly report on how we're doing. We have to keep this on our radar.
Okay, so what's your motion then?
Okay.
It's changing a little bit what I'm hearing.
No, okay, so the motion would be to implement the 4 steps that were recommended by the province. And if we're doing it, great, but let's follow those 4 steps and keep an eye on our water.
Okay. All right, any discussion on that? Councillor Martins.
So not directly related to Councillor Stenhouse's motion, but I was going to say this earlier. I know you're aware, Mayor, that on January 31st, there's that drought workshop. It's half a day or something like that. I know I'm attending, I don't know if the CAO or yourself are, I know you received notification, but, I just wanted to throw it out there. I don't know if I need a special thing to, it's part of my committee anyway.
No, yeah, it is part of your committee. And I do believe, Bill, that the town's got reps going to it. Yeah,
That's correct.
yeah. So that will be there. In a nutshell, what she's saying is that there is a conference that's talking about developing water shortage plans and the threats of this. So how do you deal with it? How do you prepare for it? Here's some resources that you can use. So that's going to be happening at the end of the month. So there is things like that we'll be able to get some information on it and be prepared. So your motion is to, initiate these 4 steps identified in the letter, to start working on them and report back to council quarterly. That's what you were saying? Or as needed? As needed. Okay. Any other discussion on that? So the motion's changed a few times, but you got it? Yeah. Okay, they're smiling, yeah. All in favor? Carried. Moving on to the one from the High Prairie School Division. Get a motion on this? I'll make a motion that we receive this letter from the High Prairie School Division for information. Any discussions on this one? Councillor Wakel?
Is there anybody that would want to go? I know we'd have to put the bill to get there, but, it's a partner that we have in town, and, working together with our partners is always a good thing. Like, I'm not asking for me to go, I'm just wondering if there's anybody else that would be interested in going to this.
See, when I read this, I remember a couple of us going to a school division meeting. They had invited us. It seems like we're kind of like a disconnect to go to this when you're not up to speed on what's going on. Yeah, like they used to invite us. Remember, we attended, I remember you were at that,
Yes, they invited us.
to a meeting.
To a meeting and.
Yes,
and
to keep us informed on what was going on, and I've never received another invitation.
No, we've never received
No.
another invitation to attend any of their meetings or whatever, and
This is a provincial conference on education. I'm not sure how applicable it is to us. I mean, other than going in and mixing or, working with some of the teachers and the division people. I don't know, it's not anything that would be directly.
Exactly, that's what I'm getting at, because when we went to the meeting, we were more engaged. They got us up to speed on what was going on and their concerns. Now, to go to this conference, we're going in blind type thing, that we have no background information on what's going on. Yeah.
I mean, I'm confused. It is provincial, but it's coming from the High Prairie School Division, and you're right, they did have that annual thing. I didn't know if it was an annual meeting or a one-off, or. So this does say High Prairie School Division, though.
Mhm.
They invited us.
Yeah, they invited us.
So would it be feasible to have administration send them back a letter saying, we'd love to go, but would you guys be willing to just give us a presentation of what comes out of this conference?
Yeah, I don't know if they would, but I mean, and again, I think from what these things are is more of a generic, what's going on in education rurally province-wide. I look at, this is my take on it, so take it, it'd be like us inviting them to Alberta Municipalities Conference, right? It's just, they could come, they probably wouldn't get a ton out of it because it's not directly related to what they do. The advantage, the good thing about it is you could, mix with some of the High Prairie School Division and the teachers and, maybe make some connections there, but a lot of the sessions would not be something that our council would directly benefit from. There might be some things of personal interest, but yeah.
So it's more them being polite, inviting us than anything?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, all right. Call the question.
All right, all in favor? Carried. Moving on to our, well, we can start with a notice of upcoming meetings. Everybody knows Saturday, 9 o'clock. That's our next meeting, okay? Oh,
Just for clarification, there's actually going to be 2 meetings on Saturday. One will be a special council meeting that's been advertised to deal with the budget portion, and then the committee of the whole meeting will follow after the special council meeting.
okay. What's that? Oh, Saturday at 9, yeah. All right, so we'll start the new year off, and we're getting to our written and verbal reports. And to start the year off, we'll go backwards, starting with Councillor Yashishin, given a report.
And I don't have any report because I have no meetings
Okay,
in that period.
Councillor Wakel.
I didn't have any meetings either, but I do want to bring a subject up. I was in Slave Lake on Saturday. The price of gasoline was 25 cents cheaper in Slave Lake than it was here. Not 2 cents, not 5 cents, both of which I could live with. 25 cents. That's real money, even if you're driving something fuel efficient. What I would like to see, and I guess my motion coming out of this would be, I would like to see administration draft a letter for the mayor's signature asking these gas companies, what the hell are they doing to us? They can't possibly think that we're this stupid. This isn't just an isolated incident. This is continuous, and it's not just us. And it's not the guys here. It's not Lou and Helen, it's not whoever owns Esso. It's not those guys that are making this money. I've worked in a gas station. You make 3-4 cents a liter if you're lucky, right? They get their fuel. They have to adjust their pump price accordingly. You go down to McLennan, you go to Peace River, you go to Grand Prairie, as we said, Slave Lake. I think even frickin' Red Earth is cheaper than us. They're absolutely screwing us on the price of gas. They've been doing it for a long time. It spawned a rather lively debate on Facebook. And I mentioned on there that I was going to bring it forward here to have council at least write a letter and just say, what is your rationale? You cannot possibly think that we're this stupid. This is why somebody else needs to write the letter and not me, because I'd write it like I talk and it wouldn't be very politically correct. I would invite them to come to town to explain themselves in an open meeting. Even, hey, if you can justify why our gas is 25 cents a liter more than Slave Lake, okay, let's hear it. They can't. On a 30,000 liter load of fuel, that's $7,500. The gas station's not getting that, and the trucking company's not getting that. So I would just my motion is that administration draft a letter for the mayor's signature to ask all of them that are here, who's here, Esso, Shell,
Chevron.
Chevron now. Is that it? Is that all we got?
And UFA.
I don't know what the pump price is at UFA. They don't display it. Everybody else does.
Yeah.
I know UFA is traditionally a little bit lower, but I would like at least those big ones to have a letter go to them and just see what sort of an answer we get, and then to share the answer with the community to say, well, this is what they think of you.
Councillor Yushishin?
Just to add, you're mentioning Slave Lake, but that was also the communities north of us as well.
Oh yeah, like I said, I think
Yeah.
Red Earth was cheaper. Sorry, Red Earth was cheaper, and I mean, hey, let's go crazy. What did you say gas was in Edmonton? I mean, it was Costco, but still,
This Costco's 99.
99.9, 40 cents difference. I'd like to be kissed first, is all. So that's my that's my motion. Administration draft a letter for your signature.
Councillor Stenhouse?
So, when you say they, you'd like to send a letter to them or they, are you talking about the drilling rigs or the processing plants or who?
To the corporations who set the price,
He identified the 3 gas stations in town.
to their corporate offices, saying,
We've noticed this discrepancy in prices and we're wondering why, right? Esso, Chevron, Shell. Why are we paying so much more than people north of us and south of us, and east of us and west of us?
yeah.
The only place that's more expensive than ours is High Level. McLennan, I couldn't believe McLennan was $1.24.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Anyways, I was gonna say that we might need to look at the politics behind them, because I find it interesting that in our town, all of them keep their prices high. There's no competition. Nobody goes down and says, well, I'll get more customers if I lower my gas 5 cents. There's none of that. So is there an agreement that has taken place between the businesses?
No.
That they're gonna, well, and then the other thing, I'm not so sure they think we're stupid. I think they think we're wealthy, and we're definitely not.
As far as the price of gas goes, is when Esso brings a load of fuel, when Shell brings a load of fuel, when Chevron brings a load of fuel, that price is predetermined. Now, the owners of those stations, they can sell it for whatever they want. They can sell it for 20 cents a liter if they want. But the corporation will not back them on that, because they said that you can sell your gas for whatever you want, but we're not backing you on it. So you can't ask the guys who make nothing on the gas to take a huge loss on it, because especially now with pay at the pump, where you don't even have to go into the store anymore, right? At least before, you're fueling up, you have to go in to pay. Well, I'll grab some beef jerky, bag of chips, chocolate bar, coffee. You're gonna make more off that crap than you make off the gas. You grab a handful of penny candies, nickel candies. You make more off that than you make off the fuel. So, could they lower their price? Sure, but they'd be out of business real quick, because you still got to pay the bills. So yeah, there needs to be backing from the corporations for our local guys.
Okay, any other discussion on that motion?
I would say I need more information.
Gas is more here than anywhere else on the planet.
No, like how are these gas stations staying, like how are they functioning if they're not making money on gas, and like you said, they don't even go in? Like, I would like the background, I'd like the investigation into why we are so much higher.
because the corporations sell the gas to them at that price, so they have to be.
Do we know that for sure?
Yeah. I worked at a gas station for a long time. I saw the bill every week, sometimes 2 or 3 times a week. I know how much they make. It's not much.
The question is, why are we more
Than everybody else,
than others?
Exactly, but let's,
Except high level.
except high level.
Yeah. And that could be a question for those oil companies. Why are we paying so much more? Can you explain that to us?
yeah, okay.
The town
Let's,
high priority needs an
let's get to the
explanation.
bottom of this, okay.
The
let's
high
find
prairie
out.
needs an explanation. Can you explain it to us?
Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Yeah. All right, we had a motion on the floor. All in favor? Carried. And that's your report, or your thing. Okay. Councillor Stenhouse.
No report.
My report is, I had a couple of meetings. One of the meetings was I met with some of the business owners. They had asked to meet about the rural renewal stream. They really want to see it. We said, you know what, come into council, make your pitch, which they did, which was good. And at that time, we said we were going to look into Slave Lake, which Bill organized and got them down here. So that's where we're at with that one. I had a meeting of Heart River Housing, and for that, there was not a lot of things going on. We did the CAO review at that one. They talked about their lease to purchase program where they can, some of the residents can lease to purchase their homes. And they've had quite a few in the last little while that have bought their homes out because these had started years ago, and that they're finally paying off those homes, which is really good to see. And they had a few stories, but that goes on and on and on. One of the things that I didn't realize, and is that apparently that in the Housing Act with the housing management boards, they are saying that there can be no alternates attend the meetings. And I don't know if anybody knows, but I just wrote it down because I had never heard that before, and I was going to look, and do we have an alternate on ours?
No, we've never had.
We've never had an alternate on Heart River Housing?
No.
Yeah, we do. We do have, I'm looking here, it was Heart River Housing Foundation. Councillor Yashishin was the alternate in 2021. But I was going, but anyways, it's just something that I found interesting that they brought up.
Is that a Heart River Housing rule or a government rule?
No, it was a government rule. They weren't even aware of it. But they mentioned it, and I said, well, so anyway, that was just something that we'll have to look at and maybe find that particular act, and I can talk with Lindsay about it. But he had mentioned that was something that the province brought up that they had in their act that I'd never heard of. The other meeting I attended was an ANCA meeting. That was an all-day meeting, but I'll try to boil it down to 2 minutes. We had presentations there from Megan at the Lesser Slave Lake Watershed Council, talked about what they do, how they do it. We had a presentation from Brad Hesback of the North Central Regional Economic Development Service Specialist. And he works for the province and will work with anybody working towards economic development in their region. And as part of the province, he'll work with them. He would come here if we have businesses or people or an organization that wants to develop stuff and work with them. We had a presentation from Kim Hughes of the Slave Lake Regional Tourism Society. Slave Lake has a regional tourism group that's very active in promoting their region, and she gave a presentation of all the things that they do and how they do it. And it led into some discussions about, ANCA wants to promote the bigger region, and can we partner with this group that's already developed and, you know, functioning? And so they're going to be looking into whether or not there's some ways of partnering with them and doing a broader, covering the whole Anka area, and them being a driver in that, and maybe we pay them a fee to do those things. But one of the things that they talked a lot about in this meeting was, you know, the region is not represented on Tourism Alberta. If you go to Tourism Alberta's website, you don't come to, you know, the Slave Lake region. There's nothing. You're looped in with all of the east part of the province is just sort of the north. It's a big, big area, and the director of Anka really pressed them on, well, how come we don't have our own area? And they said, we don't have enough developed tourism activities identified. So one of the things that we asked her to do is work with the various communities to identify all of the tourism activities that are available in our region. So I think they'll probably be contacting Bill, and they'll be contacting, you know, all of the municipalities, First Nations, to see what they're doing and see if we can put together enough to get a section on Alberta Travel's website there and try to promote it. So and they're also looking at doing a gap analysis of what's missing after they get all of that. You know, what's missing from our area that would be needed to promote year-round tourism in our region. So they're kind of looking at all of that stuff. Was good. We also had a presentation from Josh Friesen, who is the Director of Community Futures, what they do, how they do it, and that kind of stuff. So what else can we? They have, the group has 1 year left in the grant for hiring the director to do the work for that group. And it's been great to have somebody that's actively working and spearheading that. So it's been really good. She's getting some things done. They are applying on a grant to host a cultural awareness workshop to promote Indigenous tourism in our region. So there's a grant out there, and they think that they can get it to host a workshop on Indigenous tourism, what it would look like, and then invite a lot of the Indigenous communities members in and talk about the opportunities available and see if somebody would say, hey, I can do that, and spark some interest in it. And other than that, we did have MLA Sinclair popped in by Zoom for that meeting, which was good. And that was, I could go on. I mean, it was a long meeting, but in a nutshell, that was the meeting from there. So with that, I'll move my report for information. Any questions, comments? Councillor Stenos.
Just out of curiosity, those houses, the government housing that they're selling off, any of them in High Prairie?
No, most of those, we do have some new units that are being sold off, but they're not in High Prairie. They're more in the Big Lakes County area, like Gruard, Fost, and Canuso were the ones that were getting purchased, yeah. Councillor Martins, yeah.
Who are the stakeholders at the Heart River Housing Committee besides High Prairie?
There is Big Lakes County, Town of Falher, Town of McLennan, Village of Donnelly, MD of Northern Lights, MD of Smoky River, MD of Greenview, Town of Valley View, Northern Sunrise, yeah. Okay, all in favor? Councillor Martins?
So I mentioned two nominations, one of which is also RPAP related, so I'll not mention it here. It's for a high school student actually, and I'm assuming it's Let's Go Rural. I mean, they're inviting, a high school to, that deadline is March 15th, and it's to promote homegrown healthcare professionals. So it's out there in case someone wants to look at it personally. And one of the reasons I asked for it to go to council is that so if you know your networks, we don't have to just nominate through one committee. We can nominate privately. You can nominate an individual or a committee. So let's say I knew that you were in healthcare, I could nominate you. That's one of the reasons I had said send it to council. The second one, though, is from another committee. It's McKinsey Municipal that administers this grant. It's an annual grant for $2,000 to a resident of one of the members. So High Prairie is a member. It's the Robert E. Walter Memorial Scholarship, and I didn't receive this in time to send it to Shanda or to Bailey, but that submission is due by the end of March. So there's a link, and the committee, MMSA, actually administers that grant. So it's for anyone attending post-secondary schooling. So do you want to see it? Can you guys promote it? Who do you want me to send the info to?
We also received that, I believe it was today, so.
Perfect. Okay, good. So I told her we'd be posting it, so you'll be posting it, I assume. Okay. Okay, that's it for me. What else do I have here? That's it for me. With that, I'll move my report if there's any questions or move it for information.
No questions, all in favor? Carried. And, okay, moving on. Councillor Dunn.
So my report is basically around CRC. And as a representative of CRC, I worked with Santa's Little Helper. We had a bunch of meetings doing, scanning people's things and putting them through. And then I helped actually with the delivery of hampers and stuff for that.
Picture in the paper.
Oh, did you? Was it when I was falling? No. Anyways, so 64 adults and 114 children. There may be more. We have a meeting coming up in 2 weeks, and we'll finalize all the numbers, but I think that's pretty much where we're at. So it was successful, and a lot of hard work from all the volunteers, so it was good. And I move my report for information.
Okay, any questions? Go ahead.
I don't know if you know, is that, those numbers, is that up, down, static?
It's up. We're up, I think by 20 adults, but we included this year seniors.
Oh, okay.
And the children is probably, I would say 30 or more up from last year. So.
All right, all in favor? And I can see Councillor Tanaka's getting a drink of water, getting all ready. She's got a big report. Let her go.
report.
All right. Okay, that takes us to item 17. So we'll take a break, go into a close.